Everyone, welcome to Unwise Girls episode 4. This time it's personal. I'm Jacqueline, your host, and with me as always is my co-host,
Hi, I'm Janie, the co-host.
my fellow host, whatever you want to call yourself these days.
I am the podcast hostess.
You're the hostess, I'm the hostess muffin.
You're a
And
hostess trolley, just rolling around.
is that a train?
No, it's like a little, it's just like a trolley with like an electric heater in it to keep food in, so it stays warm.
I had no idea. I thought that I have no idea what you're talking about actually. This must be a British thing.
Yeah, sounds like it.
I was like, a trolley? Are you talking about I know British people call those trains, but anyway.
What?
Wait,
You know
no,
what?
British people call trains trolleys, right? Or buses trolleys?
No. Trolleys
What's
are like
trolley?
the basket on wheels that you take in the supermarket.
Then what's the trolley problem?
Well, that's for like,
It's trains, right?
it's like trams, I think.
Oh, of course. The vastly different things of trains and
Those
trams.
are different things.
Okay, sure, British. Let's,
Do we want to restart? This is a car crash.
if you say so. I kind of like it, but it's up to you.
I mean, we could just keep going.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to. No, I'm joking. Okay, we're here. Jane, what did you think of the chapters this week?
I think that I don't remember the chapters, so you should summarize them for me so I can gather my thoughts.
You're right. You're
Wait,
so right.
I'm doing the summaries.
However,
God damn it.
hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of Unwise Girls. Oh God. Let's talk about our chapters this week. We had some dense puppies.
Yeah, the thing is that, like, the last sets of chapters, like, each four kind of formed their own little narrative arc. So, like, the first four was, like, Percy getting to Camp Half-Blood, and then the next four was him getting to grips with being there. And then the next four was, like, just dicking around in the outskirts of New York. And now, like, every chapter is its own narrative arc, so they're a lot longer.
Yeah, it's becoming a bit more difficult, but I believe in your skills.
Thank you. Also, thank you for editing, like, a quarter of this summary out.
It's no problem. I do what I can to please our people.
Your services are appreciated. Okay. Chapter 13. I Plunge to My Death. While on the Amtrak to Denver, Annabeth assures Percy that despite being wanted by the authorities, mortal police can't catch him. Probably. Annabeth hears Percy talking to the mysterious figure in the pit in his sleep, and asks him about it when he wakes up. But the gang can only conclude that it might be Hades. Annabeth then suggests that Hades is planning to bribe Percy by returning his mother, leading to a conversation about how Annabeth wouldn't do the same for her father, who was such a shitty dad that she ran away from home to Camp Half-Blood. The team arrive in San Luis, where Annabeth muses that she'd one day like to become an architect and build something like the city's landmark, the Gateway Arch. They decide to go sightseeing at the Arch, and while in an underground tunnel, discuss Hades' Helm of Darkness, an item like Annabeth's invisibility hat that allows him to go undetected, and how it may have helped him steal the lightning bolt. After a few minutes at the top of the arch, a ranger announces that it is closing, and the trio prepare to leave. Grover and Annabeth get into an elevator, but there's no room for Percy, so they go without him, leaving him alone with a creepy old woman who has a chihuahua. Unfortunately, both of them turn out to be monsters. The dog transforms into a chimera, while the old woman reveals herself to be Echidna, the mother of monsters. Percy is terrified, but tries to protect the mortals who are also on the arch. This goes incredibly badly for him, and he ends up being bitten and poisoned by the chimera. Echidna then mocks Percy for having no faith in the gods, and goads him into throwing himself off the arch and into the Mississippi, in the hopes that Poseidon may rescue him. With no other option, Percy does just that. Chapter 14. I Become a Known Fugitive. Thankfully, this works out for Percy. He doesn't die when he hits the water, and in fact his injuries are miraculously healed. and he learns that when underwater, anything he touches remains dry. While he's experimenting with his powers, he has an encounter with a mysterious water spirit, sent by Poseidon. She informs Percy that his father wants him to go to Santa Monica Beach before he enters Hades, and also warns him not to trust the gifts. Before Percy can ask for more information, she leaves because the river is too polluted for her to stay. Percy climbs out of the river and tracks down Grover and Annabeth, who both agree that they need to get the hell out of town after he tells them what happened. As the team leaves, they overhear a news report blaming Percy for the destruction at the top of the arch. Chapter 15. A God Buys Us Cheeseburgers. The trio arrive in Denver. They're broke, dirty, and out of options. Using a DIY car wash, Grover produces a small rainbow, which Annabeth explains can be used to send messages via the god of rainbows, Aries. They contact Camp Half-Blood, and Luke is the one who receives their message. However, only Percy is able to talk to him because there's a noisy car the others have to deal with. Luke explains the grim situation at Camp Half-Blood. After word got out about the brewing war, the kids are broadly divided into two factions. Aries, Aphrodite, and Apollo kids backing Poseidon, while Athena Cabin has allied with Zeus, and fights have broken out between the sides. Luke agrees with Annabeth and Grover's theory that Hades must have used the Helm of Darkness to steal the bolt, as whoever took it would need to have been invisible. He then clarifies that he doesn't mean it could have been Annabeth, who's like a little sister to him, and signs off by giving Percy a message to pass on to Grover, that nobody will turn into a tree this time, whatever that means. Grover and Annabeth then return, and Percy tells them jack shit about the conversation. The team then heads to a diner, where a scary biker offers to buy their food. As he sits down with them, Percy feels himself getting irrationally angry, and it quickly transpires that this is Aries, the god of war. He asks them to go on a quest to a nearby abandoned water park to retrieve his shield, and although Percy is reluctant, they accept so that they don't have another god pissed at them. Plus, Aries offers money, supplies, transport, and information about Percy's mother as a reward. The gang arrive at the park, steal some clothes and souvenirs from the gift shop, then make their way to the Tunnel of Love while discussing Aries' girlfriend, Aphrodite, the goddess of love, who's been dating Aries despite being married to Hephaestus, who constantly tries to catch them in the act. They reach the dried-up Tunnel of Love and go into the boat to retrieve Aries' shield and Aphrodite's scarf, when a Hephaestus-made net trap goes off, with cameras broadcasting live to Olympus and robot spiders flooding in, which freak Annabeth out. Percy harnesses his developing water powers to burst some pipes, flood the pool, and get out of the way of the cameras while shorting out the spiders. They manage to escape after shooting through the tunnel, nearly being killed by the boat crash, and getting rescued by Grover before heading back to Aries. Chapter 16. We take a zebra to Las Vegas. Percy confronts Aries for making the trio walk into what he clearly knew was a trap. Aries acts rather nonplussed about Percy's impudence, although Annabeth warns Percy that it will have consequences, and gives the three of them their reward for the mission: a bag containing a change of clothes each, $20, a pouch of drachma, and a packet of double-stuffed Oreos. He also directs them to the back of a truck that's being used to illegally smuggle circus animals as their transport west. Before he leaves, Aries drops the bombshell that Percy's mother isn't actually dead. She was taken just before the Minotaur killed her by some kind of external force. Percy is shaken by this news, but has little time to process it, instead having to hop aboard the truck before the people driving it come back. On the truck, the gang settle in and do what they can to help the mistreated animals be more comfortable. Annabeth tells Mercy that her arachnophobia is due to Arachne, a woman Athena cursed to become a spider, who now directs her children to harass Athena's kids. Percy then tells them about what Luke said, which leads to the full story about how Annabeth ran away from home, met Luke and Thalia, and they travelled together until Grover, who was dispatched to bring Thalia, a daughter of Zeus, back, found them. Unfortunately, they were slowed down and attacked by the Furies before they could cross the boundary into Camp Half-Blood, and Thalia sacrificed herself to buy the others time. Annabeth and Percy console Grover, who has been branded a disgrace, and when Grover falls asleep, Annabeth tells Percy about how her father tried to make amends, but it didn't work out because of how his new wife treated her. The two agree that they won't fight because they're friends no matter what kind of war plays out, and everyone goes to sleep. While asleep, Percy has a dream about Thalia, before moving back to the voice in the pit that he's dreamt of previously. This time, he can hear it discussing the theft of the lightning bolt with a familiar voice that Percy can't quite place. The voice from the pit, which the accomplice identifies as the Crooked One, realizes that Percy is there and shows him a vision of his mother trapped in a throne room, before Percy rots away and is attacked by skeletons. Percy is then woken by Grover, who's worried that the men driving the truck are about to come around the back and check on the animals as they've just stopped in Las Vegas. The animals, who can all speak to Grover, and the zebra, who is able to speak to Percy, because Poseidon invented horses and zebras are close enough, each beg the kids to set them free. After distracting the drivers, they do just that, but not before Grover imparts a blessing to the animals to ensure they won't just die in the desert before finding somewhere suitable to live. The team wander Las Vegas before coming to the Lotus Hotel and Casino, where they're invited in and given a Lotus cash card that supplies them with a free, awesome hotel room and a free, awesome video game room. They're sucked in and playing their various games until Percy realizes something's wrong. A lot of the kids have outfits that seem like they're from a different time period, and he soon realizes that the casino is trapping kids in an eternal gaming hole. He remembers the important things he's supposed to be doing, and barely manages to snap his friends out of their euphoric haze so they can escape. He checks the newspaper as he leaves, and luckily it's still the same year, but it's been a full week since they've entered the casino, and they now only have 1 day left until the solstice. So, what did you think of these chapters?
Woo, those were in fact some dense puppies.
They were very hefty boys.
I would see these chapters and I would say, Queen, may I help you lift these? They look so heavy. And
Rick, those look heavy. Let me carry them for you.
That's what I see when I see like old man Rick Riordan walking through the store. He's like carrying 27 like cases of water, and so I'm like, Rick, please, King, let me carry those for you. Yeah, these were good chapters. I thought they were like cool little stories about
Yeah, definitely.
everything good we've seen so far. Basically, was in these chapters, and it kind of like brought some new flair to it as well. But yeah, let's take it from the top, maybe. Let's just start with that first chapter.
Yeah. Why don't we talk about Percy's stepfather accusing him of being a murdering criminal who hijacked a bus?
Yeah, the ongoing like Percy escaped convict storyline is ridiculously funny.
It's incredible. He goes from punk kid to maybe killed his mother to destroyed like a bus to terrorists who blew up the Gateway Arch.
God, it makes you wonder, it makes you wonder what the passengers on the bus saw again. Like, because it couldn't have just been like them seeing him beating up old ladies with Uzis, because then that would have been like hero
that has
kid.
To be it. It's the picture of him like. It specifies that you can see his sword, but it's so blurry that it looks like he's holding like an aluminium baseball bat or something.
Oh, okay. My take on it is that like they thought the old ladies were like being harassed by the kids the whole time.
Sense. We're now getting into discussions about the last chapters, but how did they view like the two who died? Who like crumbled to dust? What did they see? Did they just see Percy smacked them in the head with a baseball bat and laid them out?
Yeah, they saw Percy just like beat their heads in with a baseball bat. It was horrifying. Truly a terrifying moment for everyone. Everyone was scarred by the villainous child on the villainous 12-year-old on the bus.
It's true. I'm also confused about why Gabe is offering a cash reward for his capture. Why does he give a shit?
It seems like he would try to like cash in on it.
He would be like on Jeremy Kyle or Dr. Phil is the American equivalent.
Yeah, you go on Dr. Phil and the headline would be like, "My screwed up stepson," and like
exactly.
It'd be like, yeah, he go on.
My stepson Percy
Maury.
joined the Proud Boys.
Oh God, yeah, Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't want to talk about this book as like an alt-right pipeline narrative. It's horrifying to think of.
Let's try and go 1 week without getting into that shit.
1 week if we can.
Chiron's not here. We don't need to talk about his alt-right YouTube channel.
We don't need to talk about the weirdly fashy horse.
Yeah. The fascist piss horse.
Fascist piss horse with his funny pee box.
All horses are piss horses, but still.
They don't like roll around with their pee boxes like just like disintegrating their legs off in them though.
Yeah, good point.
part of the idea that was presented in these chapters was that like it kind of made you think a lot more about the mist as a concept
Yeah,
because because we get this information that like the mortals kind of cause the mist on their own partially because they're like they are on their online, they are on their laptops, on their phones, they are
yeah.
disconnected from the real world.
There's a bit like that quite specifically points that out in chapter 14, where Percy's like dragging himself out of the river, and like this little girl is pointing at him and going, "Oh, mum, look, this weird dry child has climbed out of the river." And the mum is just not paying attention. She's just like looking at the news.
Yeah, and it's the same in the chapter before that, where it's like, or the same chapter, but earlier on, or wait, 13, 14, 15, 16, I don't know. The previous chapter, where it's
Hmm.
like, it's like they're just like on the bus again, or like a different, or a train, and it's like Percy sees like something outside of the train, and he's like, maybe somebody saw that, but everybody's just on their phones, on their laptops, listening to
They're too
music.
busy reading Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief.
They're too busy reading like Harry Potter
Oh
to.
god. Oh, it's the mid
I
2000s. They
mean,
would be.
they would be. Everybody on that bus is like, wow, the Deathly Hollows. It's it really makes you think.
uh, there's not really a lot to say about the part where they're on the train, to be honest.
No, I mean, we get some nice like in this whole lead up segment, we get a lot of like nice interactions between Annabeth and Percy, which honestly makes up a lot of these four chapters, like a lot of the
Yeah,
emotional
there's
content.
there's a lot of really good like character building stuff in here.
We learn more about like Annabeth's life before she came to Camp Half Blood, why she left home, what her relationship with her dad was like.
Hmm.
What do you think about that stuff?
I really like it as like a way to keep the more fantastical stuff grounded by giving it like really like believable human drama to characters like Annabeth because it means that we're not going completely off into Fantasyland, and it also explains again why she's so into this idea of being a daughter of Athena and living up to that only.
Yeah, very much so. Like we were talking last episode, I believe, about like how Annabeth seems to aspire to be like this ideal Greek hero.
Yeah,
And it makes sense like hearing more about like I guess her home life, like why she would want to throw herself onto this concept.
yeah,
A
exactly.
a Greek hero doesn't have to deal with like their dad not caring about them or like their stepmom being like abusive.
Yeah, exactly. You can just go and kill some monsters
Yeah.
or build a
And
big arch.
or mega builder arch and what was the city that it's in?
San Luis.
San Luis.
I mean, is it that or is it St. Louis?
It's St. Louis. But
Oh,
it really tickled me to hear you say San Luis.
god damn it. I live
I
near
I
France. That they're always saying shit like that.
they're always saying weird shit like oh oui the San Luis River and
You know what? Actually,
etc.
I'm gonna look this up and see if that's part of America that was bought off the French, and I can therefore get
It
away with
was it
calling it San Luis.
was.
Okay, then I will hear nothing against my pronunciation.
I will hear against it personally.
Damn it.
I think what's also good about the Annabeth stuff is that while it is grounded, we also are very much getting it from her like 12-year-old perspective.
Hmm.
Like I think when I was a kid, I was just like, wow, her dad sucks, and like her dad does seem like he sucks,
He
but
does. Yeah.
also I'm reading it now as like an like a 22-year-old or whatever, and I can see like oh, there's some like actual nuance behind the situation that's like implied by what she's saying.
Yeah. Like whatever way you slice it, it still sucks for Annabeth. But I think especially we see later that like her dad is not unrepentantly evil.
Yeah, he's not a Gabe.
Yeah.
He's not a
Don't say
he's
Dursley.
also not a
Don't.
Sally. He's also not a Sally. He's he's
Yeah.
just a person. who's
He's
messed up
just
with his kid.
a person who one time did it with a god without protection.
And who among us? Who among us would not?
Do the Greek gods know about contraception? I feel like this would solve a lot of their problems.
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Yes, but they think it's hotter not to use it. Uh,
uh, well, you just made me think the incredibly cursed sentence Zeus has a breeding kink.
oh God. I think my favorite part about Hades is that my favorite part about Hades is that it implies that Zeus has like made up all of this stuff about like being like having sex with everyone.
Wait, what?
Cause like Demeter talks to you and he's like, and she's like, "Have you heard my Zeus say all of his BS about how he's like sown his seed across half the countryside? It's all lies."
Wait, so he's lying about
And
the fact that he repeatedly cheats on his wife?
I think he might be that kind of guy. I don't know though.
He does seem like a dick,
Unfortunately,
both in Hades and in this.
yeah. And this is also where we get the really nice like chariot like thing,
I.
which is like, what's up?
This is. Okay, you're right. This is a really nice moment for like their bond and pointing out that, yeah, they can work together if they want to. But also, like, what. What was Athena expecting to do with a chariot if horses didn't exist yet? That's just a plank with some wheels on it that doesn't go anywhere.
If people pull it though,
I mean, I
rickshaws.
guess
It's like that.
that's kind of fucked though.
They had like slaves back then, so I'm sure that's kind of
Annabeth's mum owned slaves.
I I don't know if that's correct, but I'm sure she accounted for the idea of slaves or like really
Yeah,
poor people, like
I mean
really
this
poor people who would be
the
like,
city that's named for her did have a shitload of slaves, so
"That's very true." Uh, I then we get to St. Louis,
San Louis.
and yeah, we get to San Luis, and what? You've never been to the United Americas, right?
I have steered well clear.
Good. I have not only been to the United Americas, I have been to this very state and to this very city.
Oh, how is it?
It's pretty. There are a lot of nice. Actually, the city itself isn't very pretty, but there are a lot of nice hills and cliff sides that look like the rocks are really nice looking. Like
Oh,
I
that's
just
neat.
yeah, at least from like a southern drive-in. But I also visited the Arch.
Oh,
Wow,
cool.
yeah,
Is the hole still there in the wall?
yeah. The hole is still there. I I was actually there. I was in like the underground like passageway that they went through in the book, and I heard some kids talking. And they were like, "Hades, Helm of Darkness." That's not quite true, but I did go on the arch and I went like on it and stuff. I didn't. I don't know if there was like a what you call it, like a balcony or anything to see from, but I just like went up through it and like went on this like weird like elevator that carries you up and you get to like look outside of it while you're like at the top of the arch.
Mhm.
It's really cool. I was in there with like some teen Japanese tourists who
Huh.
yeah, like I guess it's just like if you're visiting, you want to go see the big arch.
You want to go and see the big half McDonald's sign they have?
Yeah, and in Jesus, including Annabeth, who really wanted to go see the arch.
Yeah, I I really like that. Like as we were talking about before, like her leaning into wanting to be like very much like Athena's kid, not her dad's. That she's not just into like strategy and war and stuff, but also the architecture stuff.
Hmm.
Like that's just really nice attention to detail.
It's kind of like interesting because she's so far been a character who's very focused on like battling, questing, being like a smart strategist and a combatant, but like the layer of like she wants to be an architect is kind of like a nice little like fleshing out for her.
Yeah, it gives her a bit of depth.
Yeah. And she really wants to go on this arch. and I sympathize, but as much of a horrible colonialist symbol it is, but I
Wait,
can
what?
kind of, I mean, it's a monument in America, of course it is.
Oh yeah, that
Uh,
makes sense actually.
and but the arch is really big, and when you go into it, you are in the sky. Annabeth was like just talking the other chapter about like Percy, no, we can't take planes. That'll be high up in the air.
Yeah, actually, I remember that kind of weirding me out when I first read it. Like, shouldn't Percy be like, absolutely not, I'm not going anywhere near that thing?
Yeah, and he's just like, sure, whatever. He doesn't have like a. He's not like, weren't you just warning me up about weren't you just warning me up about putting on these shoes? No, he's just like, no, I'm gonna go into the sky.
I'm gonna get in this metal box which takes me into the sky where the lightning god wants to kill me.
Oh, it's terrifying. I was so sure that there was gonna be like the thunder starts pouring in and Zeus just like strikes him right out of the sky or like right out on the
I
arch. But
mean,
instead we
functionally, that's what ends up happening.
kind of, yeah. We get a rather interesting villain here.
Uh, it sure does describe her as fat repeatedly.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Hey, look, we have another fat character. Wow, and she has coffee-stained teeth and a dress that bulges like a blimp. I'm sure she won't be a monster.
Rick,
Rick, you gotta fix this, Rick.
please.
But I actually kind of like her as a villain.
Yeah.
She's like this weird old lady, and they first see her like on the way up because she's just like in the carriage or whatever with them going up, and Percy
Mhm.
sees her dog and is like, "Oh," and she's like, "Oh, Sonny, now be quiet." And he's like, "Oh, is his name Sonny?" And she's like, "Nope."
And then just the conversation is over.
And then the dog's hat. Oh God, it's like extremely good stuff.
I love
I
the
wish.
dog's collar. Chimera, rabid, fire breathing, poisonous. If found, please call Tartarus.
Yeah, I wish I had the number for Tartarus. I feel like I know some people who would go well in there, but it's really fun. Other than like what we said, or like she's the fun villain because she's the most like not the most talkative or anything like that, but like Medusa was kind of talkative, but also not the most threatening.
Mhm.
Like,
She was defeated by a flying goat.
yeah, and Percy just lopped her head off pretty easily.
Yeah.
Here we've got like Echidna, the mother of monsters.
Who kicks the shit out of Percy.
Yeah, and she like scoffs, like you have no faith in the god. Like the gods are faithless is a line that she says.
Mhm.
And that like is sick.
She's mostly cool. I lost my shit when she introduces herself as Echidna and Percy replies, "Isn't that a kind of anteater?"
Yeah, it's a very funny battle too, because she's like,
Yeah.
"No, I hate those New Zealanders or whatever.
They ruined
Uh,
my life.
they ruined my life." Um, and we get the fact that like she was sent by Zeus.
Yeah, like what a dick.
Zeus is such a dick. He's sending like the world's worst monsters after Percy.
He's sending a giant fire-breathing lion with a poisonous snake for a tail to kill a 12-year-old child.
That will almost inevitably kill a bunch of other people in the process.
Yeah.
And after that battle, we get Percy's first attempt at like making intentional connection with Poseidon.
Mhm.
It's not like heartwarming exactly, but it's like Percy is allowing himself to open up a new like dynamic to his relationship with his dad who he doesn't know.
Yeah, and it's also a sign of him like becoming more comfortable in this world, which I think we get a lot of in these chapters of him just kind of finding his bearings.
Yeah, so we do get that, and we get our one of our first instances of that here with him just deciding to jump into the river.
Yeah. I
It's
I just realized that this is part of like a small pattern that forms in these chapters of like, Rick shrugging his shoulders and going like, "Eh, close enough." Like, he jumps into the river and is saved by the sea god because, it's water, good enough. And then he can talk to a zebra because I guess a zebra kind of looks like a horse if you squint.
Yeah, it makes you like I don't know if there I'm sure there's like a proper like god of rivers or something like that, or like a somebody who's like got dominion over rivers in Greek mythology. But
Mhm.
it's like, do you really want to go into that right now? Like, because there's a point in these chapters where it feels like, are we like getting like needless references to Greek mythology, or is this clever? And I feel like this is a point where it's like, if they put in like, oh, I'm sent by the god of rivers, that would be a little bit too much.
Yeah, it'd be a little bit too much to keep track of.
Yeah, kids would just be like, well, Poseidon's the god of water, right? So why is the Poseidon? I, a 22-year-old, would also probably say that.
Yeah, probably. I love how like glib the bit where he's in the river is. Like the kind of shit that Percy's saying to himself makes me think that he needs therapy.
Like, damn, I might as well die like this.
He literally, I felt like drowning myself. The only problem, I was immune to drowning.
That's scary. Like, kid, I like that. Like, that did touch my heart. That's like Percy. You're not doing okay, man. I'm care.
Yeah,
I care about you. Get some help. Talk to your friends.
maybe
Talk
I
to
should just stay down here with the catfish, join the rest of the bottom feeders.
God. And like, this is like, I assume this is like his emotional low point of the book, right?
I would assume so.
Yeah, he dunks himself into a river to escape a monster when he knows that like the monster is probably gonna kill people while he's gone
Mhm.
because he's been hurt, and that I'm sure it's like, oh, he's acting like cowardly, even though he's not really.
Yeah,
I
if
mean,
he'd stayed up there, he would have died.
yeah, he wouldn't have like been able to save anyone else if he stayed up there. He just would have
Yeah,
died
he'd have
instantly, basically.
been incinerated.
Yeah. The He opens his mouth to talk in the Mississippi River. That's disgusting. Like, I have to imagine all that like gross river water is like going into his mouth. And
Is it? Because it says that like he stays dry.
he
So is it just like
stays,
a film over his mouth?
I guess that could be it, but I assumed he was like breathing the water or something.
Ew, ew, ew.
Yeah, I like your idea better. Um we get a fun little America tour here throughout these
Yeah,
chapters. It's like a real like road trip book as well as like a I don't know, regular YA novel. It's also like friends going on a road trip.
yeah. Because like this book is mostly like getting to Camp Half Blood, hanging around in Camp Half Blood, and then I assume after this lot of chapters, it'll just be like the finale, like going to Hades, and then from there to Olympus. But
Yeah.
like in a very short space of time, it builds up enough like little encounters to make it feel like a much longer journey.
Yeah, we hit St. Louis, we hit Denver, we get Las Vegas, we get all the big spots. Like Denver. Um the town everyone cares about. Um
Apologies to all of our listeners from Denver.
Apologies. The only town that I can ever remember from Colorado is Boulder because that was in a Stephen King book. I don't even know if that's a real place.
Unfortunately, the only all I know about Colorado is that that's where South Park takes place, and that's given me a very negative view of that state.
Is that real?
Yeah,
Come on down to South Park, Colorado. Gonna have ourselves time. Ugh.
Ugh.
Uh.
I've written
Yeah.
here Percy is Aquaman but based. Like
Excuse me.
his water powers are cool, and he can talk to, well, not fish but water spirits.
Yeah, he has a fun little conversation with the water spirit.
Yeah.
My nickname for this week should have been the sexy water spirit you only see when you're about to die underwater. But um yeah, what do you have any thoughts about this part of the book? About this part specifically?
Yeah, just like one thing I wanted to say about like the end of this chapter. which is like 5 lines about them just going to the train station and escaping. And I just
Yeah,
appreciate like how economical that is in terms of storytelling.
yeah, we don't have to be like, oh, they carefully snuck through the alleyways and they did their best to hide amongst the whenever somebody came up, they didn't let anyone see them, and it's just like, yeah, they got
They
there.
all they all put on a baseball cap, sunglasses, and a leather jacket, which makes you invisible, as we all know.
They all put on their fake mustaches. Grover put on his real mustache because he is 40 years old.
Someone please shave Grover.
Please, he needs it so badly. He is simply small. Uh, the next chapter we get the very fun little I actually really want to hear your thoughts on the conversation with Luke here.
Luke is the villain.
You still think Luke's the villain?
Luke is dropping red flags everywhere he walks.
He's like,
One of my notes literally just says, fucking horseshit, definitely the villain.
and I mean, but he's helping us. He's giving us good advice. He's saying like, Hades must have helped out. Or Hades must have gone into the throne room invisibly. But wait, don't listen to that part. It definitely wasn't Annabeth. It's extremely suspicious.
And he's like, I know you've heard some suspicious things from Hades' henchmen, but don't think about that too hard. It's probably just a trick.
I'm
Don't.
sure it's fine.
He also insists that Percy should use the flying shoes, which just absolutely the nail in the coffin.
Percy, please put on my flying shoes. There isn't there. I didn't put glue in them. I promise. Oh, jeez. Yeah, it's.
I feel like this falls into the same category as a lot of like the foreshadowing for Medusa.
Mhm.
Like this is, for us as very clever, very well-read people, we know what's happening. But like this is great foreshadowing if you're a kid.
It is. I
Like
don't
this
think I
is
expected that very much.
yeah, this is all stuff that you would absolutely pick up on a reread and be like, oh,
It's a very clever little writing.
yeah.
We get some information about like the gods and stuff and like what sides they're on here.
Hmm. I still
And
really love
that's
like the mini politics in Camp Half Blood. That's just such a cool idea.
Yeah, because like not only are the gods aligning with either Zeus or Poseidon, but also the children of those gods are like fighting because of that.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of weird that like it's just all of the cabins at Camp Half Blood versus Athena because Percy's not there, so it's just everyone bullying the nerd kids basically.
Yeah, basically because like, well,
Are they
I
sure
mean
this
the
is war related?
to be fair, the Athena kids are like hot jocks, as I recall,
Oh yeah, actually that was how they were described. Yeah.
but they are also nerds, I assume.
Hmm.
It's but like everybody is on Poseidon's side, basically, that we hear of, except for like Athena.
Hmm.
And what it makes you think like, why is that? You know what I mean?
I mean, probably because Poseidon keeps saying that you didn't take the fucking lightning bolt, and Zeus won't listen and is just being a dick about it.
Honestly, yeah, Zeus is extremely like the worst person in this novel. And
Is
I
Zeus the
mean,
villain? I
Zeus
feel like
feels like
Zeus
the
might be the
villain.
villain.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who feel extremely like villains, one of whom is going to come up pretty soon.
Mhm.
The My theory is that like most of the gods are just tired of Zeus reigning over them.
They're like, right, World War III time. Let's shake things up a bit.
Yeah, they're like, maybe when Poseidon's in charge, we can like actually like take some power over from him or something. Maybe that's like
Like this dumbass washed up surfer bro is not going to be a good king, and we can just do whatever we want.
that's my theory personally. I think that makes
Yeah.
it a lot funnier. I want to know what Grover and Annabeth did to that dude in the noisy Lincoln.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not even like the implication that they like beat the shit out of him or anything. It's just like Annabeth had a reason. Annabeth destroyed him with facts and logic, so he turned down his subwoofer.
Some maybe like it could be like that, or like they come back like giggling or something like that from whatever they did, and it makes me think that they like slashed his tires or something. Ugh.
Well, no, but the guy, if they'd done that, the guy would have followed. Maybe they just like slashed his tires and killed the dude.
That's a little much. I Grover and Annabeth are secretly like serial killers. Like
Well,
that's the
okay,
real.
but Grover is like he's a pretty hardcore environmentalist. So like if someone drives a car, it's basically on site.
Yeah, yeah. Uh if you're driving a gas guzzler, Grover will get you.
Exactly.
So then we get to Aries.
This is so cool as an entrance.
It is like okay. I just want to talk about his bike
Hmm.
because we
Yeah,
get
there's
he's
a detail here.
there's a really funny little detail here because we get the description of Aries. He's a very scary biker guy, and it's intimidating.
Hmm.
But Percy specifically points out that his bike seat is made of leather, but it's not just any kind of leather. It looks
Would you like me
like
to read the exact quote?
please do.
The seat was leather, but leather that looked like, well, Caucasian human skin.
Aries, honestly, I am cheering for him. Aries is his bike seat is made of white people's skin, and that
Aries
is
just skinned a dude.
he's skinned a dude or multiple dudes. I have no idea, and that rules so hard.
Yeah, like Aries is just the most.
Yeah, because we get like this is our first this is our first encounter that we know of with like a god who is not like basically on Percy and everyone's side.
Yeah, like Dionysus
Or
is a bit of a dick, but he's not actively out to get them.
yeah, Ares is like he comes in and everyone gets super pissed off, which rules. And
Hmm.
like you feel like they feel like the presence of a god by him. And like he lifts up his glasses and there is a nuclear explosion going on in his empty
That's
eye sockets.
I love that detail. That's so cool.
It's so cool. He is like this is the perfect description of like a god of war to me.
Hmm. Speaking
Uh
of, Percy does look like he's about to go full Kratos mode for a second.
for yeah,
Like
he
we predicted this a few weeks ago.
this 12-year-old is so angry. He's like, I'm gonna kill this old biker man, and Annabeth is like, no, you dumbass, that's Ares, a god.
Also, don't just kill someone in a diner.
That too. It's if you've got to introduce a side quest, do it like this.
Oh, yeah, I mean, this is a video game side quest.
I can see like playing like the RPG of this, and like you go into like the diner to like restore your hit points, and there's like a floating arrow above like a character, and you're like, who is this? And he's like, no, 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 like like a Celeste character or something, and
Of course.
and he's like, kid, I'm Ares, god of war. Get my shield for me for 50 experience points. And it's good.
It is. I do like that it does justify like why Ares isn't doing it himself though.
Yeah, the like Aphrodite Ares Hephaestus stuff is really funny.
Hephaestus is just canonically textually a cuck.
Yeah, and he's like he doesn't want to be a cuck. He's not into it really. At
A
least we don't think
coward, honestly.
he honestly he probably is. He literally had like cameras streaming live to Olympus what he thought was going to be like public infidelity.
Wait, maybe because I was thinking about this. Like, surely showing everyone and telling everyone is the opposite of what you want to do if you are against it.
Yeah, it's kind of suspicious because
Like
like he
you,
it's like
You don't walk around at like your job at the office showing people the live feed of the webcam you have in your bedroom showing your wife boning another guy. Like that's what
Yeah,
he's doing.
it's incredibly suspicious because, like, the premise they set up is like, oh, well, he's doing it to humiliate the two of them. No, he's not.
He's not.
He's doing it to humiliate himself. And Aphrodite, I'm kind of suspect of her choices here, honestly.
Yeah, the like, come on.
It's foolish of Aphrodite to not want to be with someone who's like canonically good with their hands.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Yeah, like what's Aries got? A monster cock? Probably, but
I mean, I know that like her options are probably pretty limited, right? Because most of the Greek pantheon are related to each other. On the other
yeah.
hand, it's the Greek pantheon; they bone each other all the time.
Yeah, and like Aphrodite like isn't really related to most of them other than like cousin level at most.
Hmm.
Because she's like born from like the sea foam of like Kronos's like testicles falling into the sea.
Oh God, yeah, she is.
So she's like a cousin or like step bro. Oh god. But
I, I actually, I do think that we should stan Aphrodite actually,
I do stand Aphrodite a little bit.
because like the way that Annabeth talks about her is very much a like, oh, that dumb bimbo Aphrodite. So she is a fellow unwise girl.
Yeah, we love Aphrodite, our unwise goddess.
It's true. She's the
We just need
patron of the podcast now.
yes. Oh gosh. Speaking of relationships, this is kind of where we get our beginnings of like Annabeth crushing on Percy.
Yeah.
You seem not so into it. Tell me your
I'm
thoughts.
I just it's just nothing about it is objectionable so far. But just it's YA romance from the mid 2000s. It tends to fall into like very obnoxious tropes, which I'm just not excited to get to.
All I can hope for is a cute romance that isn't like doesn't ruin their characters, doesn't like sideline Annabeth.
Because I'm just waiting for them to like have a fight and break up in the next book.
Yeah, basically.
And then Grover is Percy's bro who tells him about like, oh, bitches be crazy.
I like the idea of Grover going it's like hanging out with Percy after this. I don't know why, but it seems like they should just like part ways after this. I like it so far because like it's an interesting dynamic, right?
Mhm.
They're the kids of rival gods, but they're forging their own connection despite it all.
I mean that is true. I actually did start raising my eyebrow when like we get the first hints of like, oh, maybe Percy and Annabeth are going to be a thing, and then immediately in the next fight, Annabeth is useless.
That is true. I'm okay. I'm okay with it. It's one of those things where it's like I'm okay with it for now.
If this, as long as this doesn't form a pattern, it's whatever. I can live with it.
Yeah, and the Arachne stuff is like interesting.
I mean, yeah, I also am terrified of spiders, so like she's valid.
Yeah, like, and it was cool for like hashtag the Greek myth kids or whatever.
Yeah.
The moment I heard like, oh, Annabeth is scared of spiders, I was like, oh, Arachne because of Arachne because her mom cursed the woman who weaved better than her.
Hey, yeah. Speaking of, hey Athena, what the fuck?
Athena's the worst.
Athena did this to Arachne and also fucked up Medusa in this story's version.
Yeah, like it's she, Annabeth, your mom
Maybe,
is sus.
maybe this is why she allied with Zeus. They're the two biggest dicks.
Honestly, yeah, like. I don't know, like Zeus birthed her from his head tumor or whatever, but like it's assholes find each other.
It's true. Speaking of, Aries and Aphrodite were definitely like banging in this boat, right? Because Aphrodite's clothes are still here.
I didn't even think of that. Oh my god. But you're right. I wonder what her scarf does because we didn't really hear about her scarf before this, did we?
No, this is I don't think we even knew it was here.
We get there and it's like, oh, that's also Aphrodite's scarf in there,
Hmm.
which which is like makes it I for one, it makes you wonder like, oh, is the scarf going to be like a cool magic item later? Um
I mean, we do see that it has some magical properties because it's infused with love magic.
mhm. And it makes you think like, well, how is that going to come into play? And then it's also like, hey, why'd they just drop all their stuff in this boat? Hey,
Because they were half
hey.
dressed when they left.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Ah, Aries is like the world's biggest jerk.
He
But like,
is.
kudos on the Oreos.
Hmm. That's
Hmm?
the only worthwhile thing he included in that reward.
He gave them $20.
$20, I know it's the mid 2000s, so that's worth slightly more. That still doesn't seem like it was a lot even then.
The, oh, like, oh, cool, $20. We can buy two CDs to listen to on the way there in our Walkman that we don't have. Ah.
They thought they needed $100 when they borrowed it from the camp store.
Yeah, and they lost all their money, and now Aries is like Aries, a literal god, is like, here, have like a 20. Buy a pizza.
Wait, they can't even spend this. They need to pay their debt to Camp Half Bloods with this money.
Yeah, they have to pay their blood debt or else the the camp store will come after them.
Otherwise, they work in the strawberry fields forever.
Oh, oh God. They've run into so many deadly monsters so fast.
Yeah, it's really good though.
It is. I'm trying to imagine what 2 weeks of this would be like for like the runaway kids when they were like smaller.
Oh god, yeah. I guess we're to take from that Annabeth learned how to fight then, because she's still kind of a badass now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably where she got her field experience.
I think that's right. Um, yeah, I think so. And we've got like some interesting. My brain is going blank.
It's okay. This is part of our brand.
This is part of our brand. Sometimes we bimbify for a moment. Um,
Exactly. Maybe that's what Aphrodite's scarf does. It's full of bimbo gas.
oh my God, I hope so. I want to wear it. Uh,
um, I like the idea that Percy feels like he's being bullied by the gods because he
hmm
is,
He very much is.
and that just again, it's really nice attention to detail with these characters. Yeah, of course, Percy, a kid who has been picked on for being neurodivergent most of his life, would hate being played around with by the gods like this. Of course, that would really piss him off.
Yeah, it's a continuance of the idea of like he's been being pushed around by adults his whole life, and now he's
Mhm.
being pushed on by bigger adults.
Ultra adults.
The the most adults that you can be is being a god, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're in this truck on the way to Las Vegas, and it's a really sweet convo.
It's a really what?
It's a really sweet conversation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of opening up and filling in a backstory in ways that show that the characters trust each other more now.
Yeah, yeah, because we most of their interactions are usually like kind of sarcastic, kind of like
A lot of
I don't
one
know,
liners.
abrasive. There's a lot of quips and one-liners that they direct at each other.
Hmm.
It's a bit of a Marvel movie sometimes, but the it's really nice when they just like feel like you can feel that these kids have built up enough of a relationship over these dangerous days that they are like, now I can tell you about my hidden past.
Yeah. Also, thank you for saying that it feels like a bit of a Marvel movie sometimes, because that's made me flash forward in time to the Disney Plus Percy Jackson series, which is just going to be written
Oh
like an MCU
no.
movie, isn't it?
No, I don't like it. Jane, don't make me think about it.
You made me think about that.
That's because I had to. It was my duty and my job and my honor. It was my honor on the line. Not to be like this, but I'm sorry for saying it. I'm actually not sorry. But all of like Percy's prophetic dreams are are much better than any Harry Potter prophetic dream.
I I think I actually wrote this like several chapters ago and then just forgot to say it, but like thank God that he has a prophetic dream and then doesn't immediately forget it the second he wakes up.
Yeah, he doesn't forget it, and it's not like he like it's not like it's not like just some like random plot BS. It like
It's not he's not watching a cutscene.
he's not watching a cutscene. He's been having these. I mean, he kind of is, but he's been having these dreams since the beginning. So it's like established that like Percy has prophetic dreams.
Well, it's not. I mean, because he's interacting with them, and like
Hmm.
the people in the dream are reacting to the fact that he can see them.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking of like that very first dream when he was just like watching an eagle and a horse fight.
Okay, yeah,
But
that's fair.
like you're right
But
because a
even then,
lot of these are
that's
like
cool and metaphorical.
extremely. But and you're right because even then like a lot of most of the later ones are like Percy is like being talked to by a mysterious voice in a pit
Mhm.
or like being talked to by thought. Yeah.
uh, I think there's also like again, just building up on Luke is absolutely the villain. The fact that this like accomplice that's talking to the crooked one like specifies, oh yeah, I stole the lightning bolt, which is, that's one of the things that Hermes does. And that's something that Luke has told us about.
Mm. Yeah, like he's we have a god of theft here.
Exactly.
And it's this didn't even occur to me, but yeah, of course the god it would make sense for the god of theft's kid to be a thief.
Exactly.
Why is no one considering this? I mean, I guess because of the politics of it, right? They don't care about Hermes having a kid. They care about Poseidon having a kid.
Exactly. I think Hermes throughout this whole thing, because we haven't heard what he's doing or who he's aligned with, he's gone to ground because he knows that as soon as someone remembers he exists, he's fucked. They'll suspect him immediately.
Yeah, like if I was a Greek god up on Olympus and I heard like someone stole I like where's Hermes? Where is he? And it's like and I'm like it'd be hard to find him because he's also like the god of the roads or whatever, but like
He spends a few months playing IRL American Truck Simulator and then comes back when everyone's calmed down.
I like the idea that Hermes is moving the funny trucks along the road. Occasionally he makes them crash into each other. Las Vegas.
Vegas.
It's Vegas, baby. We're here in the LV. And
I
I
need to play more
love
Fallout New
it.
Vegas.
Is that I guess that would be set in in Las Vegas, wouldn't it?
Mhm.
I didn't think of that ever. Is that a good game?
I'm enjoying it so far, and also yes, I only realized that oh yeah, this is just normal ass Las Vegas when I watched the opening cutscene and saw that they just put a board over Las and put new on it.
That's extremely funny.
I'm gonna be
The
pissed if I can't visit the Lotus Flower Casino in that game.
Okay, the Lotus Hotel and Casino,
Mhm.
it's first of all, they should have known better.
Yeah, I mean I feel like it's justified enough, right? Like they are so tired and just it's boiling. They've just run away from a truck and they just want to go inside.
Yeah, I'm sure Annabeth or Grover or someone was like, "Oh, Lotus, just like the Lotus Eaters from the Odyssey." But
Oh, I had no idea that this was like. I figured it must be a reference, but I didn't know what it was a reference to.
yeah, okay, so to explain, I guess, for the listeners a little bit, it's a reference to like
Hmm.
the Odyssey, where Odysseus and his buddies wash up on an island for like food and such, and everyone's like, "Yeah, man, you can just eat, stay here, eat, and try some of our local lotuses. They're really tasty." And like almost all of his crew like stays behind because they're hypnotized by the lotus eaters basically and just staying there
Oh, okay.
forever. Yeah.
Wait a second.
Uh-huh.
Odysseus, like I don't know a lot about the Odyssey. I know that he was like favored by Athena.
Hmm.
Annabeth absolutely should have known better.
She should have
She
known
has
better,
no
but
excuse.
I guess it's like you said. And I almost feel like, was there a line where she was like, this is kind of suspicious, but
Not really. We just hear Percy say like, and I think it's that they are like immediately in a trance because Percy sees the guy at the door and says, "You just couldn't tell who was a monster, but this guy was normal. One look at him and I could see." So he's just like
yeah,
immediately hypnotized.
very much so. Um, and I mean, I guess they're not monsters. They're just like normal magic people who live forever and want everyone to be in their weird lotus cult. But
I think
it's,
that's one of the things I really like about the Lotus Hotel and Casino is like at the end when they're leaving, it's they don't like turn into monsters and try to keep them there or anything. Like this place isn't inherently evil; it's just doing its thing.
yeah, like, and honestly, I would live here. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but listen,
I mean,
the through line of this episode so far, I think, has been bimbofication and getting to live forever in paradise. Basically the same
you,
thing, I think.
God, yeah. I like seeing them like all get sucked up into their own little games that they do.
Grover's little like reverse deer hunting game is absolutely hysterical. I love it.
It honestly is. And it also kind of like when Percy goes to like wake him up and Grover starts like shooting the gun at him,
Yeah.
it's honestly kind of like, and to clarify for the listeners, it's not it is an arcade gun. It's not shooting bullets at Percy.
Hmm.
But it's honestly kind of like, oh no, Grover. Like
Yeah,
he's
it's like it shows how hypnotized he is while also still being quite funny.
extremely. And Annabeth is just like doing her boring, actually kind of fun sounding city building game.
Annabeth is playing City Skylines.
Yeah.
She's got early access to it in 2006.
Yeah. They have all the they had like Half-Life 3 in there.
Percy's just sitting down. He's playing Halo Reach with this dude from the 70s.
Yeah, he's like far out, man. I love to listen to the Beatles. And Percy's like, this is normal until he's like, wait, his clothes are weird.
I think it is like it's a well set up like reveal for
Hmm.
sure. But like it just becomes more and more apparent that oh no, this is a bad place to be. We need to go.
It's harrowing, right? Because like the moment you realize like somebody is in here from the 70s who thinks they've been in here for like a week,
Their family's
that's
dead.
yeah, their family's dead. And also like how long have we been in here?
Yeah. I do want to point out that like one of the red flags is that the dude from the 70s says bad vibes. And if we went
Yeah,
into the Lotus Hotel and Casino today, that would not be a red flag and we get trapped there forever.
no, absolutely not. We would say like this guy is gay and he likes to wear weird clothes. She might be. Um, this is
Again, Greek myth.
this is our representation.
I also like that going on from like the hotel being like a neutral concept. It's not like inherently evil. Is it
Mhm.
like we don't get wow? Look at all these weak-minded fools just sitting in here playing their video games. It's like oh no, these people are just like having a good time and don't and have had like the ability to be able to tell that they've been here for a while removed. So like yeah, why wouldn't they just chill here for a while?
Yeah, it's like sad, but not sad in the way that it's like Black Mirror or something like that.
Yeah, it's not society as a phone.
Yeah. Which you would almost expect it to turn into after being like the mist is technology. But
We've gotten a little bit like that, and I'm glad this didn't lean into it.
yeah, it's got like I guess the themes of this book that I'm picking up on are like stay connected to the world, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah, I
But
can
it
definitely see that.
yeah, and we get that with like the environmentalism stuff. We get that with like kind of like the mist as an idea. It's interesting, and I think the Lotus Hotel and Casino it's a really good like setting for a non-monster conflict.
I do think it's kind of interesting for like an urban fantasy book about entering like this fantastical world to have that theme of like stay in touch with like real life. I think it's like this isn't presented as like escapist fiction in a way. It kind of is. It's a bit of a power fantasy, but like this sucks for Percy. He's not having a good time.
Yeah, the book starts with, "Hey, if you think you're a demigod, shut up about it.
Do
It
not tell
sucks."
anyone.
Yeah. And I I think in a way that makes sense because of like how like the story's origins is like a story Rick told his kids.
Hmm.
You want to have some good, nice morals in there, not just like,
Exactly.
wouldn't it be so cool to be Harry Potter? Wouldn't it
God
be
damn
so
it.
wouldn't it be so cool to be Katniss Everdeen or whatever?
Well, to be fair, Katniss also does go through it.
That's true.
But
Uh
yeah, I
wouldn't it be
definitely get
so
what you mean about the Harry Potter thing. Of like,
yeah,
wouldn't it be
yeah.
cool to be the chosen one and the best wizard ever who gets
And
to fight the bad guy and win for goodness and slave owning?
and the and the answer presented here is no, it sucks. Which like isn't a new concept obviously, but it's I like
Yeah,
to see it.
it's definitely one of the better ways of doing like a chosen one story. It's more interesting.
Yeah, and I think when you're doing a chosen one story in the specific way that this is done, it works because it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like there's this grand destiny. It feels like Percy is being messed about with by cosmic forces.
I mean, even like the Giver of Destiny, the Oracle of Delphi, is fucking with him and not telling him everything he needs to know.
Yeah, right. Like the Oracle could be like, Hades probably isn't the real villain. There's actually some other guy. Don't trust Luke. Don't. But
Well, she just straight up knows it's Luke, right? She says, a friend will betray you. She doesn't
yeah,
say it's Luke.
and then the River Spirit is like, don't trust the gifts. Not like, don't trust your friend Luke.
I don't trust it. He hadn't been trusting the gifts. He hadn't been wearing the shoes or considering it.
Yeah. Although this could be an interesting red herring because the other gift he gets is the pen.
Ooh. I was thinking the red herring might be like the Lotus Cash card.
Hmm. That too. There's a lot. Percy gets a lot of gifts. Most of them aren't trustworthy.
Most of them are terrible and are trying to kill him.
Yeah,
It's a
like
2-to-1 ratio so far.
exactly. Um, I think one of the most interesting points of like you might not catch one of the most interesting like little things that's like it doesn't really stick out, but if you think about it for a moment, it's like, oh, this is definitely the case.
Mhm.
Aries definitely set them up to go to this casino
Did he?
because like he sent them to Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. He may. I don't know. I guess you could read it a couple of ways of like, he's either sending them here to fuck with them for his own purposes, or he's a dick and he doesn't care about telling them what kind of dangers are in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and my read of it is that like I think kind of like what I said before, like about Aries, like he would benefit from a big war.
Yeah, that's true. That makes a lot of sense.
So I'm definitely on team Aries is definitely a villain right now. And
Mhm.
he planned it, or at least like planned for them to get caught there for like a week to try and ruin their plans, or maybe forever. And he also sent them to a dangerous place, dangerous tunnel of love.
He did.
So there's a lot here that's like, kind of suspicious.
Uh, I like that Ares is also kind of a 9/11 truther.
Uh-huh.
Sure, framing somebody to start a war, oldest trick in the book.
Oh God. I mean, that's
And like
real though.
this was only a few years later. I mean, yeah, obviously, like the Nazis did shit like that all the time,
Yeah.
and
Back
also
to
like Bush did that with Iraq.
with 9/11. Oh God, no. But yeah, the like that's the he's right. That is the oldest trick in the book, and like
He's correct. It just has a certain connotation
it
when
has
you're writing it in
connotation.
2006.
Yeah, it feels very Bush did 9/11.
Hmm.
Ambrosia cannot melt. steel beams. Ambrosia's the food, isn't it?
uh, yeah, nectar is the drink.
Mm, because they have like the ambrosia cubes or whatever. I think here,
Oh, do they?
maybe that could be a future book. Um,
Ah,
I thought that was one of the supplies that they got sent with.
well, they lost all their supplies in the bus.
Exactly.
I think, like, as a device to ratchet up the tension, making them lose a week in the casino is just such a good way of, like, oh shit, we've got so much to do and no time to do it. We're all gonna die.
They were making really good pace beforehand.
Exactly. I was like, that was one of the only things they had going for them. Like, they were out of supplies, they kept getting the shit kicked out of them by monsters, but they were getting there quickly, and now even that is gone.
Yeah, and I think that like part of what makes that effective is that like it really doesn't feel like they can do this in a day.
Well, yeah, because they need to go to Hades. They also need to hit Santa Monica Beach before they go there.
From Las Vegas, and that seems like a little bit too much for like that's gonna be a long day if they're able to
Mhm.
do that somehow.
I like the fool I am. I kept reading for like a page before I realized I was actually done with these chapters. So I actually got to the bit where they figure out how to get to Los Angeles, and it is very funny.
Oh, okay. I'm
But
excited for
I
that. I
will
haven't read it
reserve
yet.
discussion for next week.
Yeah. These were good chapters. I
They
liked them a
were.
lot. They were meaty. You could really bite into them,
I mean, the stuff that we haven't even covered, like most of the stuff with the animals in the truck.
which was funny. It was very funny and actually kind
It
of nice.
was. Yeah, it's just more of that like environmentalism through line that you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and there's stuff with like I don't know, they had like a lot of conversations that were like meaningful and important, but like
Mhm.
I don't know. This is a good book.
It is. It's a really strong start for like the series. I'm really interested to see like how these change and evolve as they go on.
I agree. Like is this gonna take a terrible turn by like book 5? I hope not. Let's go into our segment.
We have a segment.
Every week you say we have a segment, and then I say
Oh
evidence
God,
that Percy Jackson is trans.
it's true. I think as of last week, we talked about like Percy Jackson is not cishet, and I feel
Hmm.
like these segments are going to be a lot easier if we just expand that to the definition permanently.
You're right. You're right.
What I've got is just like when Percy is talking to Luke, and what is it? It felt so good to see him, to feel like I was back at camp even for a few minutes, that I didn't even realize how long I had talked until the beeper went off on the spray machine. And like, he clearly has a crush on Luke, right?
He extremely has a crush on Luke. It was so obvious when he was like, I blushed when Luke came up to me, and oh,
Yeah.
he's so cute, like
Yeah, by itself, I don't think this paragraph would indicate that as much, but with the added context of literally him blushing when Luke turned up, I don't
yeah.
think I don't think you can really deny it.
My evidence for this week is that Percy is vilified by society. Ah.
Ouch. I mean,
Ow.
true, but
It's a little too real in here. I think we gotta open these windows, look to the bright sky, and maybe say our goodbyes for now.
if you'd like to reach the show with some questions or comments that you may have, you can drop us an email at unwisegirlspod@gmail.com or just hit us up on Twitter at unwisegirls.
Yeah, you can also find me on Twitter at Swamp Duchess, one word. Or you can find Jane,
You can find me walking my dog in the park,
but don't
the
look
one
too
nearest
close
to
at
you.
it.
You come and say
Yeah.
hello.
It might be a scary chihuahua.
Yes, you can find
Uh,
me walking my pet chihuahua slash chimera in the park. They sound like the same thing, you fool.
if you want, it would be so sweet of you to leave us a rating, 5 stars on wherever you're listening. And
Please, we would still like people to quote tweet Donald Trump in their reviews.
that's true. If you can remember a Donald Trump, if you can remember a Donald Trump tweet that you just like want to shout out as being like really stupid, you can do that in our
Yeah,
ratings.
It doesn't have to be exact. You can basically like commit libel and just say that he said whatever.
If you know a friend who might like the podcast, recommend it to them.
Yeah,
We're nice.
we are.
We won't bite
Eh.
too much. Uh, and we also have a Patreon. We don't have like the tiers quite worked out quite yet, but it'll be pretty cheap. If you want maybe some
Please give
bonus
us money.
if you want to help us out, and we might figure out some bonus content later, I'm sure, some
Yeah.
bonus episodes and such. You can go to Unwise Girls. No, you can go to patreon.com/unwisegirls.
Hell yeah.
And as we always say at the end of every episode,
And as we always say at the end of every episode, see you next week, Camp Half-Blood.
see you next week, Camp Half Blood. Bye.
Bye-bye.